The game is open world, meaning that they actually recreated the entire US and you can drive and race through all of it, not only in cars, but also motorcycles, boats, and planes. Even as someone who doesn't play
What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets React, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we are back for the first time in a long time with another F1 reaction. We're super excited about this video, guys. If you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down, hit the red subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell because we're on the road to 50K. And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
This video was made possible by The Crew 2, a new open-world racing game from Ubisoft. More about it after the video. No sport is as logistically challenging as motorsports. While equipment matters in any sport, in motorsport, the human is only half the athlete. The vehicle is the other half. The performance of a motorsports vehicle is directly tied to having the right components in the right place at the right time. So the logistics are part of the competition. Racing may be a sport, but it's not all fun and games. Teams are businesses. Businesses that are expected to make money. The most valuable Formula One team, Scuderia Ferrari, is worth over $1.3 billion. This means this team is valued at about as much as tech companies Discord, Bird Rides, or DoorDash. The wealthier teams, like Ferrari, are able to spend more money on transport to bring more equipment and spare parts, which can make the difference between winning and losing when things go wrong. Formula One is by many measures the most international sports competition. Over its 21 yearly races, the teams traverse 5 continents with as little as a week between events. A chaotic ballet of trucks, boats, and planes transports this show across the world each year. 10 teams compete in Formula One, and despite it taking place worldwide, it is by all measures a European sport. 8 of the...
So you mean to tell me we can go to a F1, what you call it?
That's our flag.
Race in the United States? How long we have been reacting to F1 and y'all didn't tell us this?
Right. I'm just saying, though, it's right there in the map. I mean, we can pull up at any given time. Now, I don't know how far...
That look like...
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe...
I don't know what that's... It look like more towards going about... That's Florida right there.
That's not Mississippi.
So that gotta be... We're not gonna do it.
But it look a little bit farther up on the map. Like maybe that's South Carolina, North Carolina. Somewhere in that area.
Somewhere in that area. That's a little... I need the blocks. I need the grids.
Well, you can see Louisiana.
Maybe let's give us a little more.
Maybe Alabama. Maybe that's Alabama.
Maybe.
Y'all let us know.
Okay.
10 teams are registered in and operate out of Europe. Only the Indian and American teams are from elsewhere, although the Indian team is actually based in the UK, while the US team, based in North Carolina, operates a
You was right! What?
In the UK,
what?
Staff doesn't have to travel
That's what I'm talking
back
about.
to the US between each of the European races, which in recent years have been held consecutively with a brief interruption of the Canadian Grand Prix
March to November.
of the season over summer. Thanks to this, the European leg of the season is, compared to the rest, relatively easy logistically because within Europe, you can drive. The cost of shipping by truck is so comparatively low to shipping by plane that teams bring whole buildings with them to European races. These buildings are what are modestly referred to as motorhomes, but can be as large as Red Bull's 3-story structure that includes offices, bars, and a restaurant with a complete kitchen.
I mean, that looks
All of
beautiful.
that packs into a number of trucks and can be assembled in less than 2 days. Along with all the other equipment, including cars, spare parts, and electronics, convoys of dozens of trucks per team crisscross the continent before each European race. Typically, races are held every 2 weekends on Sunday, which gives teams plenty of time to relocate before activity begins on the Thursday before the Grand Prix.
They be moving.
From time to time, the schedule is crunched and races take place 2 weekends in a row. This proves a more daunting logistical challenge as teams only have 3 full days to break down, transport, and reassemble their equipment at the new race site. Even worse, for the first time ever, the 2018 season saw 3 weekends with 3 races in a row. On June 24th, the French Grand Prix took place in Le Castellet, and the next weekend the Austrian one was held in Spielberg, finishing off the following weekend with the British Grand Prix in Silverstone. The Austria-UK transfer was the most difficult one as it involved driving nearly 1,000 miles, including through the choke point of the Channel Tunnel. For this trek, each truck was manned by 3 drivers so that while one drove, the others could sleep in an RV that accompanied the convoy. That way, the trucks could drive continuously, only stopping to refuel. But again, these races are easy logistically compared to the ones outside.
Bro, are you guys seeing what they go through for these cars? They're putting in a lot of work.
They are.
Like, it takes 2 weeks to get, you know, I believe I was right. 2 weeks to get to where they got to get, right?
Yeah.
No, three days to get what they got to get. What's the 2 weeks matter for? Oh, for each race to restart.
Yeah, so they can all get there.
Okay.
And they need a break.
And then who?
They need a break.
Yeah, they need a break. So they got RV drivers. I mean, people sleeping in RVs so they can rotate drivers.
Yeah, that's smart.
That is very smart.
I wish they would do that with like all truck drivers so that, you know, we wouldn't have a lot of fatalities when it came to truck driving. Oh, Jesus, 1,000 miles.
Definitely they gotta look more into that because that's some they be toting a lot of stuff for people in.
And so if it's like 1,000 miles, if they drove 1,000 miles, there's 3 people in the car. All they have to drive is 300 and something miles. Around there.
Well rested, and it's gonna get where it gotta get on time. 100%.
Right.
No worries, it's gonna get where it gotta get.
Right. Now I don't know about, you know, overseas, but I know like here, 300 miles is like 3-4 hours. So
Y'all should see these rest stops.
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Be filled up.
Is known as flyaway races. Just like with the European races, a majority of flyaway races occur with 2 weeks between them, but from time to time, races are scheduled on back-to-back weekends, thousands of miles apart. These back-to-back flyaway races are the most logistically difficult weeks of the Formula One season. On Sunday, April 8, 2018, the Bahrain Grand Prix was held in Sakhir, Bahrain. Then 7 days later, the following weekend, the Chinese Grand Prix was held in Shanghai, China. Over 4,000 miles separated those 2 racetracks, and yet, just like with every race, everything came down on Sunday night in Bahrain and had to be operational by Thursday morning in China. Even worse, Shanghai is 5 hours ahead of Bahrain,
That's nice.
which is effectively 5 hours fewer to do the work. But in reality, the planning for this transfer began months before. Around January 2018, 3 months before the first races of the season, each of the 10 teams packed up 5 sets of shipping containers. Each of these sets held their sea kits, carrying things like chairs, tables, appliances, cooking utensils, and some elements of bigger objects. They
took up the whole boat.
The whole boat,
Convoy, whatever.
The freaking packaging.
Jeez.
Oh my Lord. Like I've packed 18 wheelers before, but non-stop packing?
Jeez.
This is over how many you think?
Don't even, they took up the whole boat.
It depends on the size of the boat. That's a lot.
Fewer and less expensive pieces of equipment by sea, as it's massively less expensive than sending them by plane. The number of containers per team varies, as the wealthier teams like Red Bull will take more, but in general each team takes about 3 40-foot containers. Of course ocean shipping is slower, but since there are 5 sets, there is always one at the right place at the right time. That January shipment sent the first 5 kits to the first 5 flyaway races: Melbourne, Australia, Sakhir, Bahrain, Shanghai, China, Baku, Azerbaijan, and Montreal, Canada. Then, as each race was completed, its kit was packed up and sent to the next flyaway race destination without a kit. The Australian one went to Singapore, the Bahraini went to Russia, the Chinese one to Japan, the Azerbaijani one to the United States, and the Canadian one to Mexico. And then towards the end of the season, when there are no more tracks to send kits to, they're sent back to the team's home bases for the winter. At the racetrack, the Formula One logistics team's main downtime is actually during the race itself, but for the Bahrain to China transfer, real work began the Thursday before the race. That's when each team's logistics managers started making their teardown plan, deciding in which order and into which containers their different pieces of equipment should go. Once that was completed, there really was not a lot to do until Sunday. On Sunday morning, before the race even started, the pack-up began. Many of the spare parts can't be used during the race. They're not going to replace an engine during the Grand Prix, so they're the first pieces of kit to be packed into their containers. Not much happened during the race itself, but within 15 minutes of it ending, the main pack-up began. The cars, the most important pieces of equipment, were subjected to a post-race inspection to be sure no illegal modifications were made, but everything else was immediately ready for packing. All the equipment that the teams wanted at the destination first were put into one of 3 priority pallets. Together, each team's priority pallets filled up the first plane to Shanghai. As soon as these were packed, they were driven directly to the airport only a few hours after the race ended to be prepared for the early morning flight to Shanghai. As that plane took off, the final pallets were being packed up back at the racetrack. Only about 6 to 8 hours after the drop of the checkered flag, all pallets were packed up and on their way to the airport. By midday Monday, all 6 of the Boeing 747s used to transport the team's equipment to China were in the air. These planes were chartered by Formula One, but the teams still pay for the space. Also on Monday, all the staff started their journey to Shanghai. Many of the lower-level staff just flew on normal commercial flights, while some of the higher-profile drivers flew private between the 2 countries. After 9 hours in the air, the first plane touched down in Shanghai around early evening local time. The freight was unloaded and brought to customs. By midnight, all the priority freight was on its way to the racetrack.
That is a lot.
Overnight, logistics
That is a lot, bro. I'm sorry. That is a lot of everything.
I am just intrigued with the organization.
Right.
Like the people that's in charge of, okay, the race is over. Come on, let's go. We gotta get to China next week. Like, oh my God.
The sleeping, the rest, everything, like from them having to move all the packages, like you said, everything just having to stay organized. The paperwork, keeping up with that. This is just from boat to plane to driving. You got everybody in every location, just about air, ground, water.
Jeez.
That's a lot, bro.
A lot of respect to these people that are in charge of getting all of the equipment packed and ready to go.
That's not even that's not even the crazy part. When they finally land and they get the cars, they break down the car.
Right.
The team breaks down the car just to put, just some final touches on it or whatnot. But just think about that. Like, everybody's mind is literally at a standstill. I was going to say at a standstill because they got to stay focused on their thing.
Yeah. Like the drivers can't worry about the
Can't
cars.
worry about the plane.
Like,
can't worry about the boat. You just got a time saying, hey, I got to be here in 3 days.
3 days.
If I know,
Stressed.
then everybody else going to be waiting on me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Into their respective paddocks. No team is allowed to touch their freight until all the other team's freight has arrived, both for fairness purposes and safety to ensure that there aren't many people around as pallets are being unloaded and moved. By Tuesday morning, it's game on for the assembly crews. At this point, each team had their 3 priority pallets and their sea kit. In their priority pallets, teams didn't put the highest value or most important cargo. They put the things they needed to assemble first, the bare bones of their garage. That includes the wall paneling, the core of their electrical system, and the majority of the IT and communications equipment. By Tuesday evening, that build was done, and the track was once again made inaccessible to the teams as the non-priority pallets were delivered overnight. Early Wednesday morning.
Imagine if something got left.
Oh, everything's done.
Ooh.
These guys are literally starting from scratch every race.
Jeez. You forgot the engine.
Golly.
A boat to the engine.
The engine goes, oh, bro, they'll be hot on that one. That'll be
Around
crazy.
6 a.m., the teams arrived back at the track and began work on the final assembly of the garage. Only after about 4 hours, by late morning, all the different teams' garages were operational. All in all, 10 Formula One teams successfully packed up, shipped all their equipment 4,000 miles, and reassembled their paddocks in 58 hours. Thanks to careful planning and practiced workers, Formula One pulls off this impressive feat every year without a hitch. Earlier in the video, I mentioned how the short 7 days...
Now, I know some of y'all gonna be like, well, that couldn't happen with my earlier joke. But 55, I mean, what they said?
58.
58 hours, 10 teams successfully packed. Jeez.
Yeah.
Gotta hire the right people.
Dude, I mean, if you think about it, I was just thinking as I'm listening to this, like, this is literally the blueprint on how to be, organized, successful, and just to map out what you want to do in life with your...
And think ahead.
And thinking ahead, they literally got to, like, they say nobody can start moving stuff around and say everything get there. So you got somebody already waiting at the post, counting to make sure everything is there.
Right.
As long as one is missing, no one is moving.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Spielberg, Austria to Silverstone, UK transfer is the hardest race transfer in Europe, but interestingly, about a month ago, Ubisoft brought me out to the Spielberg Formula One track to try out their new racing game, The Crew 2. The game is open world, meaning that they actually recreated the entire US and you can drive and race through all of it, not only in cars, but also motorcycles, boats, and planes. Even as someone who doesn't play video games much, I enjoyed The Crew 2 a lot, and it seemed an accurate recreation of the actual racing I did that day on the Spielberg track. If you think you might be interested in playing this, there will be a link in the description where you can check it out.
Definitely want to check it out.
Wow.
The Crew 2 and Ubisoft. This video is an extra one, so there will be another Wendover video out next week.
Nah,
Beat rising inflation with Kohl's.
that was interesting at the end.
Yeah, that was a banger. That was a whole recreation they said they did.
Okay,
everything like.
F1 was one of my, I can't say my favorite because I don't want my other people to come and be like, I thought this was your favorite. We love all of the motorsports, especially the crazy races that we be seeing. F1 is like at the top of my favorite motorsports, and just to see the logistics of everything, it gives me a greater perspective and a greater respect.
Yeah, definitely a bigger respect. You guys go through a lot just to get from A to B, and that is amazing. I mean, I played football. Has nothing to do with cars, but our transportation was on a bus from here down the street, and that's it. You guys got every aspect of this whole globe filled with cars.
Yes.
From going to one location to the other one. You feel me? Y'all got y'all teams on planes.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I'm just.
It's like the player is half the athlete, the car is the
other half.
The other half,
Yeah,
they gotta break down everything. Oh Lord, Jesus.
Y'all doing y'all thing. Everyone has a big responsibility at the end of it. So.
Alright guys, so we hope you all enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you would like to support the channel that way. And if you would like to send us mail of any kind, make sure you check out the description box below for our mailing address. We'll see you soon.
Peace.